Paula McCain. I'm a recovery business advisor for North Central Texas Small Business Development Center. Don't know if you all realized it, but today is National Nutty Fudge Day. That's right,
Nice.
it's not just for Christmas anymore. The SBDC is a leading provider of assistance for small businesses, and we are grant funded. And because of that, we can offer our services as well as webinars such as this to you at no cost. Today's presentation is titled Bah Humbug and is presented by Mark Wilson. Little housekeeping, please put all your questions in the chat room and we will get to them at the end of the presentation. So Mark, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us something about you.
I'd be happy to. I think good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad you've joined us. The next hour should be, in my opinion, anyways, very helpful for all that attend. I pride myself in teaching actionable content, and so I'm not gonna talk theory. I didn't learn any of this in a book. I lived it just like you are for 4 decades. I was a retail, restaurant, and hospitality guy for my whole career. Again, Mark Wilson, I own the Wilson Company, and we're small business strategists. And my partnership really for 11 years has mostly been with the SBDCs. So I'm not actually a counselor, I'm a contract employee, and I'm retained by a couple states, and then I've worked all across the country over the last 11 years, helping small businesses compete in what's been a crazy decade, but even crazier in the last year and a half with a pandemic that we've been dealing with that really knocked the wind out of the sales of small retailers and restaurants and small towns across the country. So what we're going to talk about today is Bah Humbug, or Bada Boom for short. There's no reason to think that fourth quarter won't be successful. 2020 had a successful fourth quarter after everyone pivoted and did all the things they needed to do business last holiday. And many of those things will hold true this holiday, and some things will change, and we'll talk about that as we go through it this morning or this afternoon. So anyways, that's me. Again, I did it. I wore your shoes, and I know what you're going through, and hopefully the mistakes that I made, which I'm here to tell you, if you're not making mistakes, you're not taking enough risks, because this is all about risk reward right now, and it certainly wasn't 2020. And I hope you tried a bunch of things different and new and kept some of them going forward, and didn't move forward with ones that didn't work so well. But without trying them, you wouldn't have known. So I'm a big believer in try things. If they work, keep them. If they don't, try something else. So it's not written in stone. It's very not reactive, but hopefully proactive in terms of seeing how the consumer has changed and how the industry as a total has changed, is when you start talking about supply chain and blockchain and all those different things. So from bah humbug to booming sales, 7+1 strategies for mastering the holiday season, even during a pandemic. So let's share my screen. Can everybody see that title page? Thinking I'm good, guys. See Paul at least shaking her head, which means I can move ahead. Okay, there I am. So I am legit. I can wear a tie. I can get dressed up, and I can be very corporate and courtroom if I need to be. You know, I've run as few as 18 stores, which I owned. The bicycles Exchange and Bikes USA, and I've run as many as 550 stores when I ran Crown Books, a national bookstore, and everything in between. And I had 3 different website. Think back in 2000, everyone said if you are not in the internet, you will perish. So of course, I tried some internet businesses and whatnot. So what we found, I think, and I think you guys can agree, is that it's a combination of both. I mean, I've spent 11 years telling small businesses they didn't need to worry about the internet, that they needed a good website from a marketing standpoint, because you need a good website to get found on the internet, and you got to get found, and you got to be on the first page of results, or Americans won't find you because they're lazy and they think, and they're probably right, that if you didn't earn your way to the first place or the first page of results on an internet search, then you won't get found. So there are folks that pay to be on that first page. They're shaded in blue. I tell all my clients, don't use those. Use the first free result on Google, because they earn their way to that spot. So I've changed my tune. It's not now just for marketing. It's become very apparent that going forward, you have to be able to provide not only a great in-store experience, but you've got to have a good online experience as well, because the consumer learned how to use the internet during 2020. Even baby boomers learned how to use it. So in fact, the hottest demo right now, guys, are baby boomers that learned how to use the internet during fourth quarter of last year. Why are they a good demographic? Because they have more money than millennials and Gen X. So now they've learned how to use the internet, so you can hit them on both sides. You can be great to them when they're in your store, because a lot of them are retired and have time to shop in your store. And you can be great to them online now because they've learned how to use the internet and they like it. And we didn't have a choice last year. 50. They say that walk-in traffic was down 50%, and that online traffic was up 50%. So I think that's true. We also know that a lot of mom and pops did well simply because they had such a loyal group of customers that they've developed over the past several years, and they've done the right thing. They've coddled them, they've pampered them, they've treated them like VIPs, very important people, because a loyal customer far outweighs the profitability of a new customer. And why do you think that is? Because a loyal customer, you didn't pay anything to get back in the store because of the way you treated them the first time and developed them over time. So they're just simply more profitable because they didn't take time or money to get through your front door or onto your website. So holiday recipes for success, secret sauce. What is secret sauce, for goodness sakes? Here's what I'll tell you. I can go to any town in America. I don't care when it is, what season it is. I'll find you a retailer that's doing just fine. And why is that? Because they have the secret sauce. They do something different and better in their store than anybody else does. And for that reason, customers love them and shop with them and tell all their friends, neighbors, colleagues, and relatives about this place they found in your town or some other town that's worth the experience. So know this, as we move forward, the internet is important, digital marketing is important, being able to sell online is important, but we're moving back to an experiential situation in your stores. It never went away. It is retailtainment. So that's retail connected to entertainment. And that's retailtainment. And that's what it's about. So anyways, you'll hear me kind of drive that home over and over again. So today we're going to talk about 7 strategies that work, whether it was a decade ago or tomorrow. These 7 strategies work, and I call it 7+1 because the +1 was these 7 strategies had to be implemented and executed during a pandemic, and still are, because we're not completely out of the pandemic yet. We're moving in the right direction and there's light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not free and clear. In fact, I've read recently that we won't reach herd immunity. We'll never reach it in the United States, probably in the world, because there are too many people that just don't believe in the vaccine, or are afraid of the vaccine, or simply don't want the vaccine. So the notion that everybody on the planet's going to be vaccinated is not real. So we're always going to be treading a tightrope between, safety and situations that aren't safe. But the virus is still out there mutating, and gosh, India is now in a terrible, terrible situation with the pandemic. So you never know when there's going to be a flare up or something that hits. What I can assure you is that you have to expect the unexpected. And forewarned is forearmed. And those that are more prepared will do better than those that aren't. So the first thing to do of the 7 strategies is have one. Create a strategy for the holidays. What's that mean? What's that mean? And let's talk fourth quarter as opposed to just Christmas and Ramadan and Hanukkah. Let's say fourth quarter, because we all know that's how important that selling season is. Well, we all know about supply chain and the fragileness of those things now. So you need to know lead times from all your vendors. In fact, you should have spent a good portion of 2020 finding more vendors. To have all your eggs in one basket with single vendors for hot items is dangerous. I mean, you don't know the next time a tanker is going to get caught in the Suez Canal that slowed down shipments from hundreds, if not thousands, of companies getting product to stores. Listen, we're experiencing it today in Virginia. I don't know if you all are experiencing it in Texas. By the way, as part of my introduction, I forgot to tell you I'm a Texan, born in Dallas, proud to be from the Lone Star State. You can trust me, I'm a Texan, so get that out of the way. But anyways, lead times, know your vendors' lead times, and have more places to get something than one single source. Forecast your turns. How many times will you turn this product? Let's call fourth quarter from October on. How many times are you going to turn the hot product and need more of it before December? Hopefully plenty of times. And know this, you're now managing 2 inventories, an online inventory and the in-store inventory. You're managing 2 inventories, and it's real important to keep those 2 inventories straight. And you need a partner when you go to e-commerce and do business online. You need a partner that helps you manage that. The best partners to have to go online are partners that also have a POS system, so that the POS system can talk to the inventory, because you want it denigrating the right inventory when it gets sold either in the store or online. The other thing that's important to have is knowing your inventory and letting your clients know what your inventory is. It's called limited time offers. It's called sense of urgency. So let's say you have a hot product and you can show the customers there's only 2 of those left. So you have live inventory on your website. The customer has a sense of urgency to buy that product if they want it, because there's only 2 left. So live inventory is a great plugin to have, as well as, and I'm jumping around here, but when things come to my mind, I feel like I need to share them with you. The other thing to have is live chat so that you can make this a live situation even though it's online. So live chat's another plugin that certain platforms make available to you. So live inventory and live chat, I think, are important things. Eliminate categories without gross margin. You can sell a lot of product that doesn't have any margin and you still have no money. I know this from being in the electronics business in the 80s. Do you know what? I opened 83 Circuit City stores during their heyday. Back in the 80s, guess how much margin there was on a computer for your home? 0 points. Zero. So we made no money selling you the computer. We made all the money on the peripherals, the accessories, the software, and all the other things. I told you I had 18 bike stores. Same thing with bikes. There's no margin in the bikes. It's in the apparel and all the accessories and the service. So a lot of product with no margin won't get you anywhere because at the end of the day, what is your gross margin? Now, the only time that I want you to have product that doesn't have margin is when you have loss leaders. You know what loss leaders are? They're products to get traffic in your store, and it creates traffic for other products. So it doesn't matter that the product that might be getting them through the door doesn't have margin. Use special orders if you have to, and keeps your shelves stocked. A store needs to be full, chock full. You need to represent the categories that you're selling. So combine and control your inventory. Remember, you're now managing 2 inventories, and almost everything has lead times. So I've lost my train of thought when I was telling you about Virginia. There are lines at our gas stations today, 10 and 20 deep. I don't know if you're experiencing it in Texas, but there are lines at gas. And what's happening is because of the dark web and the folks that infiltrated our infrastructure, it's the pipeline that goes from Texas up to the Northeast was mitigated through some evil people. And anyways, it's not permanent. And what's happening right now is the same thing that happened with toilet paper and paper towels. People are hoarding it. People are getting gas and filling as many plastic containers as they can with gas. So that's happening, and those are the things we'll have to be wary of. Okay, make sure that you're coordinating your marketing efforts, your promotion efforts with what's happening over time. So there are things to market and celebrate in October and November and December and January to promote during fourth quarter. So, in December, it's the first day of winter, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, New Year's Eve. In January, you have New Year's resolutions and Martin Luther King holiday. So there are all sorts of different things to celebrate. October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Okay, that's something you could promote all. And I read this today in doing some research for a webinar I'm writing to present here in a couple weeks called "Tools for a Post-Pandemic Renewal." And what I'm talking about there are things that I know and you know that small towns are event driven. And the more things we can promote and have events around, the more traffic you're going to get back in towns. I'm a believer right now that we ought to grand reopen every small town in America. And I think the best bet to is to look at July. President Biden's goal is to have people rescinding hopefully the mask mandate by July. So that would be a great weekend and time frame to do the grand opening of America, celebrate beating the pandemic, and celebrate shopping local. Because let's continue that notion, because people are very aware of how important it is to support their local businesses and local businesses in their towns. Because we all know that the money that's made in a small town stays in that town. The money that's made by a big box on the Passover or the Beltway around your town is sent to wherever that big box is headquartered. So all the money in Walmart goes to Bentonville. All the money at Best Buy goes to Milwaukee or Minnesota. All the money that's done by that Home Depot goes to Atlanta. So most Americans know by now that shopping local helps keep money local. And in the counties where these towns are, we keep the money in the counties, the local counties. We know how important that is. So you should have not only a bricks and mortar strategy, a strategy within your store, but you have to have an e-commerce strategy as well. So I'm sure you've adapted in some way to doing business online, and you'll continue to do that. You'll continue to meet the customer's needs no matter where they are, and you'll creatively overcome challenges as they come about. One of the things that you're going to find more difficult than you've found in the past is hiring. As you move through the summer months and move into fourth quarter, hiring people is very difficult. In fact, some retailers have decided, well, let's spend more time skill building and cross training my current staff than to try to find new people. It may make sense to do it with less people in less square feet. And what you'll see going forward is you'll see more people sharing their locations with other vendors. You're going to see more pop-ups come and go, especially during seasonal peaks. And folks are trying to do their business with less overhead. You can either increase your top line or decrease your expenses. But the goal with both strategies is more profit margin. And we're just trying to make enough money to make ends meet and send our kids to dance lessons. We're not trying to buy our third vacation home. We're trying to survive, but more importantly, thrive in an environment that was very difficult in 2020 and going forward into 2021. But we also know that people have been very successful at it, and that some stores, in fact, I would tell you that over 50% of the stores I visit so far in 2021 are ahead of last year. And they've done that from adding revenue streams they didn't have before, pivoting and doing things differently, and in the most part for mom and pops, adding e-commerce to their revenue streams that they didn't have before. And what's holding some people back is fear and the discomfort of pushing through fear and making changes. The most difficult saying right now, the most troubling saying that I hear time and time again is, well, we've always done it this way. You know what? That no longer works, because the customer is not the same customer they were a year ago. The pandemic has changed people. You know that, and I know that. You better have a shipping strategy. You better be able to ship, package, and get out the door in a timely manner. Guess what most customers believe about shipping and how long it should take to get their product? Most customers think shipping should be free, and they think it should be within a day or two, because the big behemoth the gorilla in the room, Amazon, has taught them that that can be done from sitting at your home, ordering from a big box juggernaut that is bigger than any company in the world now. So you got to give them a reason to shop with you. And the reason is your secret sauce and what you do for them that a big box can, what you do for them that an hourly employee at a big box doesn't even want to do for them. The best people to hire, if you do hire, are people that have shopped with you and know your store, love the culture, and love your product. They're already trained when you bring them on board. So know that it's important. But anyway, shipping strategy, who will pay? Listen, you either have to split it with a customer, you either have to put it into your markup and cover a good portion of it, or you have to simply have less margin and ship for free. And that's not easy to do because margins aren't easy in today's environment anyway. Okay, so your first strategy is to have a strategy. Second strategy is to focus on customer service. If that's not been pounded in by now, I don't know what will be. But service and smiles are important, even from behind a mask and even online. Because we had this short conversation before we went live today about being live versus virtual, and I think everybody believes there's an advantage to being live. But what we realized and what we talked about is there's an energy that happens. There's a vibration. There's chi. There's spirit. There's all sorts of things that happen when you're live with a customer that don't happen when you're doing business with them online. So the only way to make it more personal is to have purchase history on your customers so that you can become a personal shopper for them and that you can make the selling, not selling, but the overall experience the customer's having with you more personal because you know what they've already bought and you know what to recommend for them to buy more future things. So that's how you make a online selling situation personal. And you also have live chat. You also have video conferencing and Facebook Live and your phone to be able to make even if someone's sitting in their home, you can make the selling situation more personal by making it live through video conferencing, your phone, Facebook Live, and venues like that. So use what's at your disposal. Staffing, adequate staffing, scheduling, service and standard expectations. Listen, people come to smaller stores, because they expect you to know more about the product than the person that ignores them does at Walmart. The reason people shop in smaller stores is they know they're that much closer to the owner. And they know that the owner of a store does care about them and cares whether they shop with them or not. When you shop at a Walmart, you're pretty much in the employee's way because their primary goal is to get the product onto the shelves. They're not interested in helping you. In fact, you're in their way because they're trying to stock the shelves. So people come to stores because they expect an experience that's more personal, memorable, and fun than shopping at a big box. Listen, they don't even need to shop in a big box anymore because they can do it online. They need to shop with you because of the culture you've created in your store and how much fun it is to be in the store and be amongst your staff and other people that shop with you. But don't forget the protocols and the safety protocols. People are still concerned about their safety We are not in the clear yet. People are still know the virus is out there. And whether they've been vaccinated or had both shots, they still know that there's people not that haven't and are carrying the virus. So don't forget the protocols and don't put your guard down. In fact, my advice, regardless of what the state has decided to do, is for you and your staff to continue to wear masks and give the customer the option of wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. But make it the customer's decision. But if you want to protect yourself and your staff, wear masks until we're free and clear of the virus. Engage the customers with open-ended questions. You want to ask questions of the customer that are open-ended that can't be answered by yes or no. Open-ended questions start with who, what, where, when, how, or why. So use open-ended questions to start conversations. Because one thing we know for sure is people like to talk about themselves. And good salespeople, productive salespeople, let the customer talk 80% of the time. They only talk 20% of the time because they're trying to find out how they can best. Another notion I have, I think you ought to think about serving the customer as opposed to selling to the customer. If you keep this idea of service and that you're just trying to offer them the best help you can based on getting information from them, then you're doing the right thing. The other thing that's important right now is doing all of this with empathy, because people are grieving over people in their lives that they've lost due to the pandemic, and people they haven't seen or hugged or kissed for over 18 months. Some of that happened just recently, but until recently, they're starved for human interaction. We're hardwired for it. So the sooner we can get people back in the stores, the better. So what are you shopping for this year? How are you? Have you been in before? This is closed-ended, but it's still a great question. Have you been in before? Have you shopped with us before? It gives you an icebreaker. It gives you the opportunity to tell people a little bit about your store and what you feel is important. Because the other thing that's important to customers today is, in fact, 59% of customers say that they'll shop with businesses that demonstrate a social conscience, that are engaged with charitable institutions, that believe in things bigger than a transaction. And that's important today, that that you stand for things that are more important than a transactional experience with the customer. And we're looking at people and stores that are recycling things, and they're aware of what they put in the box when they ship to a customer, so that we're not filling landfills with styrofoam peanuts, but we're putting recyclable paper in there. And we're doing things with vendors that have a conscience and that do things with transparency and treat their employees correctly. So we're looking for things for that, like that, out of retailers now. So know that's important going forward. And appreciate not only your customers and your loyal customers, but appreciate your staff for working for you during this touch and go situation. So appreciate your staff, reward them, reward excellent service and sales, and appreciate your customers by having a strong loyalty program that provides them with benefits and incentives to be loyal. And then simply thanking people for their patronage and shopping with small stores in small towns and keeping small towns as a fabric of society and keeping it as a priority for your town and your your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, your colleagues, and ask them for feedback and testimonials, because you know that customers use review sites now. So the more feedback you can get on the experience that people have in your store, the more popular your store will become and your website will become. Okay, third strategy, personalize the experience. Approach customers, have eye contact, non-solicitory greeting, acknowledge everybody, even if you're busy, even if you're standing 6 feet apart, even if you're standing behind plexiglass barriers, you've got to make it friendly. You've got to smile. You've got to pay attention to the customers. You've got to eliminate side conversations. You've got to pay attention to the customer, and they've got to be the most important thing. And you know what I used to tell my staff? Give this person the best 30 to 45 minutes they have all day. Make them think about for the rest of the day what a great time they had shopping with you, your staff, your store, and in your town. Be storytellers, not salespeople. Do it with empathy and do it with authenticity. So encourage employees to share their personal passion for your store, your mission, and your product, to tell customers about products they love based on found them that in fact it's not a bad thing for your staff to say, I shopped here before I worked here. I love this place. I love the experience. I love the people that work here, and I love the product mix. And the other thing that's important is don't put stacks of product on tables without curating it. Merchandising is the thoughtful placement of product and merchandise that makes sense to the customer and to the story you're trying to tell in your store. Vignettes, small stories that are told by putting products that are like one another in scenarios and stories within the store. Hot spots, cold spots, light spots, dark spots, drama, stores that are lit with spotlights, not overhead fluorescents, so that you can highlight product with beams of light. So use the principles of merchandising to create a pleasing environment, an environment that has drama, an environment that's fun. Understand the shopping habits and preferences of not only your loyal repeat customers, but what people are doing today. You can typically kind of figure out through body language and just through watching whether people are browsing, whether they're being entertained, whether they're using shopping as a mode of entertainment, or whether they most likely have already been on your website. In fact, 9 out of 10 people have been on your website before they come in your store. And a lot of people have already chosen what they want based on your website. So you can see people that are more mission oriented, people that are on a mission when they came through the front door. They may even ask you where a certain item is based on seeing it on your website. So you got to be able to read body language and be able to know whether a customer wants help or doesn't want help. In fact, I'm often asked, based on the pandemic, do customers want less help than they wanted before or more help than they wanted before? The answer to that for me is people will want more help than they ever have because they're starved for it. And that the website has only whet their appetite for what they want to experience when they've come through your door. I've already talked enough about the special sauce, but there's a slide to tell you about it. Being bigger than just transactional, being involved in your community, having a mission, other small personal touches that differentiate an otherwise impersonal transaction. Even online, it's the small things. The devil's in the details. But even the small things are what will set you apart from other retailers and a nonplussed experience. So key considerations. Where are the customers both physically and emotionally? Are there new customers that have discovered you through online channels? Are they customers that are trying you for the first time because they found you online? Those customers that are shopping with you online are harder to read than customers that are in the store. I think you've probably experienced that in 2020. And then you really want to build customer relationships so that customers buy with you over and over again. So stores that did best, quite frankly, during the pandemic were stores that had loyal customer bases already, and those customers were tried and true. And if they couldn't make it to your store, they might have done local delivery or curbside, or even had you ship them product, but they still were loyal to you and shopped with you even in the most difficult times. Fourth strategy, educate and engage the community. I mean, has your town made it safe and clean to shop in? Have you provided the customer with places to pull over for curbside pickup? Have you made it easy for customers to have it either product? Listen, you have to deliver to the customer a way in which they want. So you got to be able to give the customer the what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. And in order to execute with a strategy in that, you have to be able to do curbside, delivery, shipping, and in-store shopping. You have to provide all four of those ways to buy product because the customer wants to do it the way they want to do it now. You with me? You against me? I think you're with me. And I think you've probably experienced a lot of this already. I'm just trying to reinforce it so you know that it's still important going forward and will be until we're completely out of the woods. And that's going to be all the way through 2021. But we're hopefully we're going to see some big strides by July 4th. I've already talked to you about this, but 69% of the money spent in a small town stays in the small town. And 69% of the money spent in a big box goes to wherever that big box is headquartered. No more difficult than that. It just makes total sense to spend money with stores that are going to keep it in your community and in your county. Just makes sense. And you have to educate the community to how important it is to shop in the downtown, to keep the money in the community, that it's not easy to run a business of your own in a small town. In fact, a lot of people think the business owners in your town are well-to-do and well off because they're business owners. They don't have a clue to how difficult it is and has been and will be to do business in your own independently owned retail and restaurant stores. They think it's easy because you're your own boss. They think you can come and go as you please. How wrong is that? How wrong, you know, I laugh sometimes when clients come to us and say, to the SPD and say, I want to be my own boss. I want to make my own schedule. I want to come and go as I please. And we're thinking in the back of our heads, you've just married your job. You will be there more than you've ever been in any other job. But here's the good news. Wouldn't you rather be making money for yourself than for someone else? That's the bottom line. That's why people do it. Why work that hard to make someone else successful? Make yourself successful by owning your own business. And make sure you promote your downtown and your neighbors and your colleagues and each other. I came up with a word called co-opetition. Someone told me it's been used in the technology business for a long time. Co-opetition is the merger of competition and cooperation. JFK is famous for a quote. I don't think he came up with this quote, but he's famous for saying it. All boats rise with the tide. The point being, if the whole town's doing well, the individual stores will do well. So it's important that you promote each other and that you know the strengths and weaknesses of your colleagues in town so that you know the very best foot to put forward. And quite frankly, if you're asked for something you simply don't care, you don't carry, but you know a colleague of yours 3 doors down carries it, send the customer to that store. Unless you have something very similar that they might even like better. Otherwise, send them down the street. You have just won yourself a customer for life. Why? Because you were honest with them. You tried, you didn't sell them something they didn't want, and you were helpful and helped one of your colleagues sell them something that they would be totally pleased with. So it's important that towns do things together, they promote together, they run events together. You know them, you know what I'm talking about. Just driving it home, just driving it home. You know, put some signs up that I don't know if all the towns allow this, but sandwich boards are very helpful for you to point out things that you do on a week by week basis, special promotions, things that you might have on sale, things that you're promoting, messages that you want to give the general public. Sidewalk signs are very, very productive. Um, Make sure you have the URL to your website on your window or on your door so that if you're not open or people that don't have time to come in the store right now can get on your website in the meantime. And know that most people are on their phones and that mobile phones have taken over the world and mobile phones have taken over retail shopping. And in order to provide the most value to a customer, they should be able to get on your website while they're in your store or standing in front of your store. It may be the reason they walk through your door. So URLs on your doors are an important thing. Fifth strategy, merchandise for the holiday. And I say that with backing up what I said earlier. Don't just put stacks of stuff on tables. Curate it, merchandise it, make sure it makes sense, tell a story. So here's a brief checklist of things for merchandising. Is the store full? Is it clean? Are the best gifts and holiday items prominently displayed? Have you pre-wrapped some of your best sellers and have them online as well? There's an 80-20 rule in retail. 20% of your inventory produces 80% of your revenue. you know what I would do? I'd pre-wrap some of those best-selling high-margin products. I used to do it all the time. I'd build a pyramid of wrapped products and I'd put one unwrapped in front of it. I'd have them displayed all over the store. Dudes love it. They say, they'll come in and go, oh, well, I'll take 6 of those and I'll take a half dozen of those and give me 3 of those. And they'll fill their shopping cart with it because it's already wrapped. Do you have hot spots? Do you have dead spots? Do you have light spots? Is your signage effective? Do you have good POS signage, point of sale signage? Is the traffic flow good? Do you have 6-foot distancing set up? Is it easy for people to shop? Here's a thing you might want to consider. You know, rather than queuing up people outside if you can only let X amount of people in your store at a time, do shopping by appointment and have the queue virtual. Have them make appointments online to shop with you at a certain time. Excuse me. So make the queue virtual so that people aren't standing out in the hot sun waiting to shop with you, but they have a time where you have put yourself available or one of your best people available for this customer to shop with for 30 minutes with one-on-one attention. So shopping by reservation, it's a great idea. And stores have done it throughout the pandemic. Read you that. Here's some tips. If the longer they stay, the more they'll spend. 70% of the shopping is done after 5. Why do you think that is? Because most people are still working from 9 to 5, whether it's in an office or in their home. And most companies can figure out whether they're working or not because they have to log on and log off. So people are still relegated to giving their employers an 8-hour day. Well, most of the time that 8 hours is 9 to 5. They can't shop with you then unless it's online or after 5. An open door, weather permitting, gets 10 times the traffic a closed one does. 40% of what you sell is a result of it being in the window or front and center in a store. The target zone for merchandising is from your belt buckle to 6 inches above your head. That's the target zone. Do you know that in a gallery, artwork is the center of a piece of art is hung 60 inches from the floor. So that puts the center of the painting at most people's eye level. The same stands for merchandising. And I'm reminding you again to get the URL of your website up under the window. Handmade products deserve a drop tag that tells the story behind the product. Who is the artist? How did they make it? What is it made of? You know, Restoration Hardware has been famous for the stories they tell about the product they found. And everyone knows Seinfeld, right? Who did Elaine work for? J. Peterman. It's a well-known pen and ink, black and white catalog. Well, he's famous for telling stories about where he found the product. And Elaine worked for J. Peterman on Seinfeld. Gift giving equals gift wrapping. And gift giving also means gift giving for me. Meaning, how about one for yourself? Because people like to give products to people they love, that they love, not only the person, but the product. So a lot of times they'd be interested in having one for themselves. And then there are handmade marketplaces, Amazon, handmade, Etsy. There are certain platforms that are particularly well suited for artisans and products that are handmade. This is a chart from a guru of shopping named Paco Underhill, Paco Underhill. And he wrote a book called Why We Buy. And this diagram is in his store. He says, he's the guy that says most people, most Americans anyway, if given the choice, will turn right when they enter your store. 9 out of 10 people go right. And then he says, based on the largest spectator sport in the world, which is what? Football? Soccer? Neither. You know what the largest spectator sport in the world is? NASCAR. Because the stadiums hold more people than football stadiums do. So how do those cars go? They go right, right, right. Well, counterclockwise. So most people turn right and move counterclockwise. And as a result, here's the value of your store. Here's the value of the real estate in a rectangular store. The most important fixture in the store is the first one on the right. What do you put there? What do you put in your best real estate? High margin product. Not necessarily the most popular product, product that makes you the most money. And look where the real estate is. It's across the front of the store, and it's in the center of toward the middle of the store. The rear of the store is difficult. The walls tend to be difficult. So know that. Kind of cool, isn't it? And 40% of what you sell is a result of them seeing it in the window. So when you think about the online mindset, they're looking for convenience and the best deal, and they know shopping online is safe. So the longer they spend on your website, the more they're probably going to buy something. And know this, that abandoned carts is the #1 issue with online retailers. So use a platform that has an automated email that goes out to a person that abandons their cart before buying it. And one of the largest and best online platforms to align yourself with is Shopify, because they do everything I've told you that you need to personalize an online shopping experience and manage the inventory. And they're also connected to your point of sale. And they also provide contactless and frictionless payment procedures. The #1 sticking point with people shopping online is the payment procedure. So make sure yours is simple, smooth, frictionless, and contactless, because that's what the customer is looking for. And the major differentiator will be the experience you have provided them on your site to be personalized. 6th strategy is market your brand. So not just your product, but all the things that you do. Leverage your social conscious. Leverage your recyclability and how important you believe that is, and leverage the charitable partners that you've chosen to represent and promote during the holiday season. So your website, as you know, is critical. And you've got to leverage social media. In fact, social commerce is a new buzzword, social commerce. And that means selling directly from Instagram and Facebook. So learn how to do that and do it now, because customers love it. Instagram and Facebook have exploded as platforms to sell product. How do you retain the customers that have been shopping with you? Try to gather their email address. Give them every option that they may desire to buy a product. when you're capable of doing it, a handwritten thank you note to a good customer goes a long, long way. And if you can do appointment shopping, that's safe and pleasurable for a loyal customer. And then have a good bona fide reward and loyalty program so that you're rewarding a customer for being loyal and shopping with you over and over again. Cross promote. We've talked about that already, but make sure you're cross promoting. And finally, it's a great time to have the best windows of the year. So towns that have a Christmas window contest usually have better windows than towns that don't. And it's a great time to dress up the town and have a parade, a Christmas parade, and have, the arrival of Santa. Many of those things didn't happen in 2020, but I'm here to tell you they can happen again in 2021, and that you should do that. So clean up the windows, keep your windows lit till 10 p.m. at night. There are people window shopping after they come out of a restaurant later than the stores are typically open. Have unity as a town, a focal point in your window. Sometimes less is better than more. In fact, if your windows are seen from a passing car, they have to be big and bold and simple because customer only has 3 to 5 seconds to see what's in your window if they're in a car. And then if most of your traffic is on the sidewalk, then build a intricate window that has a snow village and all sorts of tiny things in it. But if your window's seen mostly from a car and the street, intricate, small, detailed windows don't work. In fact, sometimes it's more productive to paint something on your window as opposed to trying to build a small, tiny, detailed window. So keep that in mind. That's an option. 40% of what you sell is due to it being in a window. Think of fun things to do. Window design contest. Remember, is your window being seen from a car or a sidewalk? And what does your storefront, your curb appeal, what's it tell a customer about you? Well, first of all, it's going to tell them whether they're going to be safe and clean if they shop inside there. Does the business look from outside that it's COVID-19 prepared? Does your business have pride in its business? Are you financially stable enough to have a good looking physical plant? And are you committed to a category that you're in? Do you have lots of product that represents your prime category? And are you a business of the future? And will it be worth returning? So here's a recap of the 7 strategies. First, create a strategy. Second, focus on customer service. Third, personalize the experience. Fourth, educate and engage your community. Fifth, merchandise for the holidays. Sixth, market your brand. And seventh, dress up your windows. And now the +1 is embracing the online experience so that it works for you and your customers. Being the best of both worlds. That's what I have for you today. I hope I helped you all. And I hope you all learned something that you didn't know before you came. Are there any questions from you folks? Are there any concerns or any comments you want to make?
Well, I had a question,
Yes.
and there there is a chain of stores in the area, and I would say Texas, North Texas, that says employee owned, yet they're in many different cities and towns. Where does that money go? You were talking about Walmart's money, all of Walmart's monies go to Bentonville and then Home Depot to Atlanta and all that.
Yeah, yeah. Now those are corporate stores.
Uh-huh.
Many times when you have a franchise situation or a trademark agreement, you do own the store itself. You just have a trademark agreement or a licensing agreement with the parent company. In that case, and a great example of that is Subway. Subways are independently owned. The owner probably lives in your neighborhood. That money stays in your community. So it really
Okay.
depends about on the agreement that the individual store has with corporate.
Okay. I didn't even think about that, but that makes sense. It
Yep,
makes sense to me now.
yep.
And Brett has a suggestion.
That's
What?
always dangerous. Let's go, Brett.
I know. Here we go. What about a live in-store virtual shopping experience, like using the camera on an iPad or store to walk through a store with clients that are online shopping with a live salesperson? It would help them avoid shopping in crowds and stuff.
I totally agree with that. That's what I meant when I said video conferencing, Zoom meetings, Facebook Live, using your iPad. Yes, that is how you personalize a sale with someone that's still sitting at home. Here's the other idea that I have that I share with clients. I used to always, I had 105 clothing stores. And what would happen in those stores is they get really busy whenever we started unpacking the truck on the floor, opening the boxes, looking at the new product, and getting excited about it. Why don't you video conference the store checking in a new shipment and sharing it with customers online? I think that's a great idea too. So yes, the answer is Brett is brilliant. That is that is an excellent idea, and I 100% endorse it.
I think it would be fun. I really do. Somebody go up and say, okay, here's your favorite rack right here, and here's the clothing on the rack. Now, look at these new styles, Paula. What do you think?
Yes, yes, and throw them out onto a table and get the camera over them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes, yeah,
See,
I agree with that. That's how Paula. Quite frankly, that's how we've been doing one-on-ones. Is we have the owner take a camera or a laptop throughout the store and show me the store, and I make comments on how it's merchandised and how it's set up. That's how we're doing our one-on-ones.
well, that's interesting. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I've been doing that for a year and a half now. Is doing one-on-ones over the phone and with my Zoom.
Well, that's a good pivot in your business. You pivoted, but you still found a way to be successful.
And so, and many SBDCs have pivoted with online one-on-ones as
Mhm.
opposed to having the client come in the office because the offices have been closed. But a lot of SBDCs are working out of their homes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nosa wanted to comment that Subway is a great example, and Chick-fil-A as well. Local owners within the community own the businesses.
Chick-fil-A is one of the best stories there is.
Oh,
It
yeah.
really, yeah, it
And
really is. It's fabulous. And
Nosa has, go
the
ahead.
problem with Chick-fil-A is trying to get one.
Yeah, yeah. Are those franchise
But
fees pretty high?
no, here, listen to this real quick.
Really?
How much does it cost to open a McDonald's?
Don't know.
$1 million. You got to have $1 million on paper. You got to be a net worth of $1 million.
Hmm.
How much does it cost to open a Chick-fil-A?
Don't know.
$5,000.
Are
That's
you
all.
really?
Because you don't own anything, Paula. Chick-fil-A owns all of it. The building, the equipment, and the land. You are an independent owner, but you don't own the real estate or the building. So you know what a Chick-fil-A owner gets? 8% of their profit. That's how it works.
Hmm.
Now know this, if you've seen the movie The Founder, which is the story behind McDonald's and Ray Kroc, Ray Kroc's a billionaire not because he owns McDonald's. He owns the land under every McDonald's. Ray Kroc became a billionaire as a real estate person, not a hamburger purveyor. So my advice to an individual owner, if you have the financial wherewithal to own the building you're doing business in, make it an asset and quit giving your money away. But don't do that until your business is making money. I mean, don't buy a building until you're sure your business has legs.
Mhm. Um, NOSA also has a question. How would a business owner manage showcasing multiple holidays? For example, merchandise for Thanksgiving and Christmas at the same time.
Well, the way I'd answer that is seasonality. I mean, Thanksgiving and Christmas are so close together that if I concentrated on product that was seasonal and gift oriented, I think you'd be in great shape to promote both holidays under one branding promotion.
Okay.
Shoot, we want to train customers to shop year round anyway and not wait for sales. And the best way to do that is with live inventory. When I had the 105 clothing stores, our customers knew that if they waited and didn't buy something in their size, it would be gone and they wouldn't be able to get it. So this idea of limited time offers and urgency is real. And it's a great way to go to business, go to market. Hey, I only have 2 extra larges left. If you want one, let's get one for you.
QVC actually does that. They say
Of
this
course
is
they
the
do.
only order of the year. We've already sold 10,000 or something. So
Yeah, you want people to buy at full price anyway, because if you're really transparent, you should be giving them a real nice deal year round anyway.
And NOSA has one more comment about owning a restaurant. Said you must be physically present at your local restaurant. That's one of their requirements, where the owner has to actually be at the restaurant. And NOSA, was that a Chick-fil-A? Oh, she's shaking her head. Yes. Well, that's
Listen,
it.
it is the best advice that anyone could ever give a restaurant owner. And that's that you have got to be in the house.
Mhm.
You have got to be there. And it's
Okay.
hard work and the hours are longer and the margins are not great in the restaurant business. So it's a difficult business, but you got to be there.
Well, we all stop on the way home to
Yeah,
pick up something to take home to eat.
sure.
Um, What type of businesses have thrived during the pandemic and what did they do well?
Well, I'll answer that in 2 ways. One, categorically, no matter what they're selling, the stores with the best secret sauce prevail day in and day out. You got to be doing something that just blows people away. You've got to do things that are extraordinary. You've got to make it so much fun that it's just unparalleled. And those are the people that do well year round. So the secret sauce is the one answer. A good marketing program is incredibly important. I believe that the stores that do best are the stores that get found most easily through a Google search. So that's important. But stores that did the best during this, there was a do-it-yourself rage going on that so many people were home so much more. People were cooking again. They were buying home furnishings. They were creating a nest. Anything that catered to being at home was a business that did very well during the pandemic. Anything that was, people seemed to be a little more self-sufficient and wanted to do things on their own. So anything that was DIY was very possible. Do it yourself. And of course, carry out food became incredibly important. And pick it, grab and go. Prepackaged foods that were available for young professionals to just stop and get and take home. That's how where restaurants survived. It survived during the pandemic was package and go and curbside and delivery.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mark, for all of this information. I have really enjoyed it. I'm sure everyone on the call did as well. I just want to remind everyone that you'll get a survey in your email from us, and please fill that out. The information that we gather on those surveys helps us to uh, uh, find out what our client group needs as far as presentations, what information that they'd like us to share. So please fill those out and return them to us. On the screen, we have the upcoming webinars. And let's see, we have tomorrow, we have how to improve outcomes by giving constructive feedback. Oh, nobody really likes that confrontation, but a good skill to have. On Friday, we're talking about the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. Going to get some information on that. That's pretty critical in trying to help everybody get back on their feet, get back to whatever our new normal looks like. Then,
Hey, Paula.
Yes, sir.
I read yesterday that the SBA announced they have given out 28,000 grants for the restaurant revitalization fund.
Wow. And it's only been open for what? Not quite 2 weeks,
Just a
week
few
and a half?
days, just a week and a half, I think.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Then next week we have Marcia Hudson coming back. She's our social media expert. She's talking about growing a profitable email list from ground zero, which is something that you kind of touched on, Mark. Your customers come in, get their email, get their address, so you can send something to them in snail mail.
Paul, you know what I say? Email addresses are the only data that you really own, because all the data on Facebook and Instagram and on your website is owned by Facebook, Instagram, and your host.
Yeah.
So the only data you really own is purchasing history and their email address. So get it if you can get it.
Yeah, yeah. Then on May 19th, we're going to talk about the other new program that's out, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. Going to get some more information from Rebecca Schultz again. She is wonderful when it comes to the financial presentations. Then on the 20th, the Success Mindset That Will Grow Your Business with Jamie Ellithorpe, a new presenter. I've seen her before. I've known her for a while. She's extremely knowledgeable and is always looking for a way to help business owners not only survive, but thrive.
Hooray!
Yes.
Hooray!
This is only through next week as far as our schedule goes for our webinars. So you can visit our website at sbdc.nctc.edu and get our complete schedule. We have a full summer. I will say that. We have
Paula,
yes, sir.
Paula, if they want more of my nonsense, on the 26th, I'm doing co-opetition and eventacular
Okay.
for you.
Fantacular. I saw the
Even-
co-opetition.
Yeah, well, co-opetition is not a subject that would take an hour to discuss. So I've added to that eventacular, which is how businesses can best cooperate with the town to run successful events, not only for the town, but for the local merchants as well. It's a very strong subject that I've presented many, many times over the years. It's how to throw a successful event in your town.
Wow, that will be great. Wish I'd had that a couple of years ago. That would have worked for me a lot.
Yep.
Not only can you register for webinars on our site, you can get a contact information, you can schedule an appointment with an advisor, and you can find all sorts of resources for small business owners. The SBDC is grant funded, so we would like to acknowledge our benefactors, the Small Business Administration, the state of Texas, the North Texas SBDC Regional Office, and North Central Texas College, our host. And we are very privileged to be part of NCTC. I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you. Please check out our website and register for our upcoming events. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.